The Pacific Northwest, including states of Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, boasts a population nearing 14 million. Notably, about 72% of the populace, roughly equivalent to 10 million individuals, reside in areas located west of the Cascade Mountains. This demographic layout leaves a large part of this region considerably underpopulated. Now let's explore the reasons for this distinctive distribution of the Pacific Northwest population. Today, we will delve into the verdant and rain-drenched landscapes of the Pacific Northwest. This is an area that could perplex you if you've only visited areas located west of the Cascade Mountains. The eastern side of these mountains introduces a distinct reality, and that's what we'll unveil in today's feature. The Pacific Northwest is distinctive with its breathtaking natural beauty and rich history. The human history of this region traces back to the Missoula floods, dramatic geological events that played a substantial role in shaping the region as we know it today. These floods took place at the conclusion of the last ice age, approximately 15,000 to 13,000 years ago, and were the outcome of frequent and sudden collapses of an ice dam that was restraining glacial Lake Missoula in today's Montana. These floods were incredibly large, surpassing modern rivers in water volumes and being strong enough to radically reshape the territory. When the ice collapsed, it released huge amounts of water that swept through parts of present-day Washington and Oregon. A problem of landmarks, a problem of distinctive geological features that changed the topography dramatically, and most importantly, that it left behind fertile soil over large areas of the area, making it ideal for agriculture. It is believed that humans have reached to the Pacific Northwest in about the same time period across primitive boats and across the coast of the Tomb before settling. The states in the current states of Oregon and Washington, these people eventually established the indigenous tribes of the region, including the Chinook, Nispers, Sliche, Tillamook, and other tribes thanks to the rich and abundant rivers in Northwest Pacific. Many of these tribes lived more sedentary lives compared to the nomadic tribes of the Great Plains. However, the lives of indigenous peoples changed radically with the arrival of Europeans in the 18th century research. The Pacific Northwest Corridor brought many explorers such as James Cook and George Vancouver, those who charted the coast and made the first contact with the indigenous peoples during these explorations started trading with the local tribes, especially in the Northwest, a region that attracted the attention of European powers and the United States in the 19th century. This area saw increasing competition among powers vying for control. The expedition of Lewis and Clark, commissioned by President Thomas Jefferson from 1804 to 1806, played a key role in asserting American interests in the region. It opened up routes for future settlers and traders. The fur trade, spearheaded by the Hudson's Bay Company and the Pacific Northwest Company, was the dominant force in the region's economy, with Fort Vancouver serving as a trading hub. The Pacific Northwest is known for its captivating natural landscapes and its varied terrain, divided into two sections by the Cascade Range. The Cascade Mountains create this division, which forms two distinct areas, the western and eastern parts of the Pacific Northwest. This division greatly impacts the climate, ecosystem, and human activities in the region. Despite this division, both sides are affected by the aftermath of the ancient Missoula floods. One of the prominent features is the carved lands in eastern Washington, where ancient dried riverbeds, giant ripples, and basins stand out. These rock formations carved by the floodwaters, these unique geological features, initially puzzled scientists. The Columbia River, forming the border between Oregon and Washington, is one of the standout features that have been formed. Due to the Missoula floods, the flooding has expanded the rift, leading to the formation of the current landscape with its steep slopes. its breathtaking waterfalls. Despite the geographical division, the Missoula floods remain a historical event, unifying the region. Yet, there are clear differences between the western and eastern sides of the Cascade Range. On the west side, a marine climate prevails with mild, humid winters and summers, more tame and drier, which helps the growth of fertile moderate rainforests rich in pine trees, Douglas western spruce, and red cedar. These forests benefit from moisture from the Pacific Ocean, which leads due to heavy rainfall and heavy vegetation growth. The rocky beaches of Oregon and Washington were formed by the dynamic Pacific forces. On the other hand, the eastern side is characterized by a drier and continental climate due to the shade of rain with the view of rain and diversity ecosystems. The landscape here turns into dry grassy plains, wormwood deserts, and semi-arid environments, especially in the interior parts of the Columbian Plateau, which extends across East Washington and Oregon and Idaho environment. Dry with basal flows, river valleys, and fertile agricultural land known for wheat production and forming a southern region, eastern Oregon is part of a basin of deserts that stretches across most of Nevada. The Cascade Mountain Range stands as a barrier, huge, not only climatically but also geographically, with peaks such as Mount Rainier and Mount Hood, which the landscape is dominated by these volcanic mountains belonging to the oceanic fire movement. It has contributed to shaping the geography of the region through volcanic activity and glacial influences. Melting water in these mountains feeds the region's rivers, providing vital water sources. East Washington and Oregon are gradually moving into the rugged mountainous terrain of Idaho, which includes picturesque wilderness. The landscape in Idaho is characterized by towering rocky mountains. The large lakes and the Snake River play an important role in agriculture. The division of the region by the Cascade Mountain Range led to the formation of two different worlds, each with different geographical characteristics and challenges, which explains the large gap in the distribution of population between the two sites. The shrinkage caused by the Cascade Mountain Range in the Pacific Northwest was not limited to aspects geography and climate, and it also included demographic aspects. Inhabits the western part of the region lives. The western part of the region is about 72% of the population compared to 28% on the eastern side, overlapping population density to multiple factors related to the environment, nature, and economic activities. The western has a temperate and humid climate that has historically been more suitable for human settlement. Heavy rains provide an environment fertile and ideal agricultural soil, especially in valleys such as the Willamette Valley in Oregon, which is one of the richest agricultural areas in the United States, and the dense forests west of Cascade also contributed to boosting the economy through the timber industry, providing jobs for the people of Oregon and Washington over the generations we see here. The Pacific Northwest has a marked geographic and climatic diversity with varying impacts on systems. Environmental and population distribution reflects this rich natural and cultural diversity of the region and highlights the importance of understanding environmental impacts on human and economic development as well. Major rivers like the Columbia and Willamette rivers have made significant contributions to facilitating trade and transportation operations, which led to attracting settlers, particularly in the early stages of settlement. And thanks to this feature, cities like Seattle, Portland, and Tacoma have developed into major cultural centers supported by ports, trade, and later by industries such as technology and space. Natural beauty and economic opportunities have helped make the Northwestern Pacific a center for population growth and urbanization. On the other hand, the eastern side of the Pacific Northwest, located in the rain shadow zone of the Cascade Mountain Range, offers a much harsher environment for dense settlement, as the dry climate and less fertile soils have made large areas of this region less suitable for intensive farming, with the exception of some areas that are artificially irrigated. The unique geographical nature of plateaus, mountains, and semi-arid areas has limited the expansion of urban areas and increased the difficulty of transportation. The economy and lifestyle of the Northeast Pacific have remained centered on extractive industries like mining, logging, and agriculture, which require lower population densities even in the modern era. Beautiful wilderness areas and national parks have become a popular destination for tourists, but have also helped preserve and an hour of land is almost empty of inhabitants, and social and cultural factors play a role in the distribution of the population, where the western regions, especially the big cities such as Portland and Seattle, witness significant internal migration thanks to its attractiveness to those looking for distinct lifestyles, jobs, and education. And this has led to a positive role from growth, where the increase in population contributed to the provision of a greater range of services and industry, which attracted more residents. The East Side, with its natural beauty and wide space, attracts those who prefer an outdoor or rustic lifestyle. However, the job opportunities available there vary in their standards and quality, and often attract a smaller segment of the population. Currently, the Seattle urban area in Washington tops the Western Pacific Northwest with a census. The population is about 4 million, followed by Portland, Oregon with 2.5 million people, and Eugene. In Oregon, with about 400,000 people on the other hand, the Boise and Idaho are the largest urban area. In the east, with 760,000 people, followed by Spokane in Washington with 600,000 people, and Bend and Woburn in Oregon with 100,000 people, with reference to the fact that these cities are considered among the fastest growing cities in the country in recent years. Point Roberts, a small part of U.S. territory that connects to Canada, serves as a unique example of historical complications in cartography. This exceptional circumstances weren't derived from a modern diplomatic agreement or a land purchase, but from 19th century border negotiations and a misunderstanding of the geography at the time. The story of Point Roberts' annexation to the United States goes back to the 1846 Oregon Treaty, which sought to solve territorial conflicts between the British Empire and the U.S. The treaty dictated that the boundary would extend along the 49th parallel north from the Rocky Mountains to the middle of the channel between Vancouver Island and the mainland. However, negotiators lacked complete understanding of the geographical details of the region and didn't foresee that the 49th parallel north would sever a part of the Point Roberts Peninsula, isolating a small land parcel from the rest of the United States. The full implications of the treaty's terms were not appreciated until maps were drawn with greater precision later on. Despite the geographical isolation, Point Roberts has managed to develop a small community dependent on tourism and local services. This region remains a vivid example of how historical boundaries affect modern geopolitics. These examples show the great diversity of environments, economies, and lifestyles in the Pacific Northwest. As growth and development continue, these factors will continue to shape the social and economic dynamics of the region, making it one of the most distinguished and diverse areas in the United States. Despite its strange geographical location, Point Roberts is considered part of the U.S. territory. It is an exceptional case in geopolitics and still exists until now. The area spans an area of approximately 5 square miles, and reaching it in the United States requires passing through Canada or traveling by sea. Local communities have adapted to these special conditions, as people and international border goods are considered to cross on a daily basis for purposes such as study and shopping. The boundaries themselves are not clearly defined, with the presence of inspection centers supervised by the American and Canadian border authorities to organize the movement. Although residents face difficulties during the closure of the Canada border due to the COVID pandemic, the Cascade Mountain Range separates the Northwest Pacific Ocean, resulting in the formation of two ecosystems, different. Each supports its own economy, so most of the American population in this region resides on the western side of the mountains, while the eastern side is experiencing faster population growth, which may lead to population distribution has changed in the future. I hope you enjoyed the information about the Pacific Northwest. And if you like the content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel.